Okay, our second speaker will be Mr. Awais Qasim. Qasim is from Pakistan. He's currently doing his master's study in the University of Quaid-i-Azam University. His research is also about microbiology, and he's dealing with wastewaters, which play a crucial role in our daily life. So without further delay, let's welcome Azam, please.
Hi guys, good morning. And I'm Awais Qasim from Pakistan, and I'm also a biosecurity champions fellow from US, health security partner. Plus, I have certification in biorisk management from International Federation of Biosafety Association from Canada. So, I'm the guy who are looking on the positive side of microorganisms, because if you noticed during pandemic or other in life, so people termed microorganisms as germs, and germs as its negative meaning, I can say. So what's pharmaceutical water? Actually, when pharmaceutical contaminants from the industries and leftover products like drugs, it comes to the water, then we can call it pharmaceutical water. So there are contaminant life cycle. There are a lot of sources for pharmaceutical contaminants like agriculture, household, hospitals, and in pharmaceutical industries. And most of the antibiotics come from livestock. Then there are risks for aquatic life. These pharmaceutical contaminants, they can alter the blood profiles. They can cause gender conversion, like estrogen in water. It's evidence that it's converting the gender of the fish. And then the liver dysfunction is there, oxidative stress is there, and hormonal imbalance in aquatic life, mostly in fish, and hyperglycemia, hyperplasia, a type of cancer, and cellular degeneration in fish, immune disruption. And it's actually the difference between alteration in blood profiles and immune disruption here is in immune disruption, some of the cells, they might increase, but in the like in the blood profiles, some of the cells might be increased, but in the immune disruption, like all the white blood cells, immune cells, they get decreased. And then some of the adverse impacts on humans, it includes liver dysfunction, cardiac diseases, and cancer, immune disruption, bone marrow suppression. Then cancer drugs, embryotoxic they are, and teratogenic effects were seen for fetuses. And antidepressants, they treat mental illnesses normally, but hypoglycemia, sexual dysfunction, and growth dysfunction is also correlated with the antidepressants. And surprisingly, for the antidepressant, increased rate of suicides are also correlated with the use of antidepressants. It was quite surprising for me when I first read it. But then anti-inflammatory analgesics, they are commonly we use it for as painkillers or antipyretics, but cardiac diseases and hypertension, mental health issues, they are related with it. So actually here, this is antimicrobial resistance. It's a hot, like a burning issue of today's world. It actually poses a threat to the global health setup, because there's a review written by O'Neill, an economist from the UK, I think, and he mentioned that by 2050 we will be having no effective antibiotic to treat a small scratch on our skin, and it can lead to death because we are unable to treat it. And here in my research, I am focusing on antibiotic-resistant bacteria to employ them to work for us. Like antibiotic-resistant bacteria, they have the ability to degrade antibiotics. So they resist like the water which is coming from the pharmaceutical industry. For example, I am specifically focusing on ciprofloxacin antibiotic. So there are certain bacteria in that water which is actually surviving the highest concentration of ciprofloxacin, which is a very lethal antibiotic for them, but they are surviving, and it shows that they are resistant and they are degrading actually. So we developed two technologies, wetland technology is what we called. So antimicrobial resistance is actually a health security threat. These are my objectives, like treatment of pharmaceutical wastewater via lab-scale constructed wetlands, and treatment of pharmaceutical wastewater via lab-scale trickling filter. And then I have isolated some of the bacterial strains from both the systems, and then I compared the comparative analysis of both technologies. Now we will see, like, this is my methodology. I took some samples of wastewater from the industrial effluents, and then here we isolated some bacteria from the untreated sample from the wetland and trickling filter using culture dependent methods. Like, we cultured it on nutrient agar media, and then we sent it for 16S ribosomal RNA, which is yet to be done because this all data is from preliminary research data. So it's in progress there in my lab. And then we running the samples on wetland and trickling filter. We collected the samples after running on those technologies, collection of samples and addition of new samples weekly. For 12 weeks I ran the reaction, and then we analyzed the sample on spectrophotometry. Like, chemical oxygen demand was measured via spectroquant and prior and post treatment, and OD readings were taken on microplate. So here, this is wetland technology. Like, here you can see there are 4 cement parts filled with gravels, sand, and plants were planted there. These are the Typha latifolia plant. We can call it cattail in English, simple. And the microbes are actually in association with the roots of these plants. And from here, in the first, here we add the sample, and with the slow flow rate, it's coming down to the second one. In the first one, there are only gravels and stones to trap the physical particles. Like the large particles, it is like a physical removal, while sedimentation, filtration, and precipitation, these are the underlying processes in wetland technology. And then in the second one, there are plants, there are sand and soil is there to support the growth of plant, and gravels are also there, some sand is also added. So adsorption, why heavy metals like heavy metals and phosphorus, they adsorb onto the solid particles there. And phytoremediation, plants also take up some of the contaminants from the water. So phytoremediation is also there in the wetland. And then the bacterial decomposition and nitrogen transformation. Already we know that bacteria transform the nitrogen which are in association with these plants. So this one is all about wetland technology, and it's constructed lab scale wetland. And here at the post stage, there are no plants. The second and the third stage, they are same. They are only like the augmentation of the second stage. And the fourth one is only, it contains sand just to filter out more. And here it's a collecting tank, CT, it's a collecting tank. We run the sample here for 1 week. Like every cycle it completes in 2 days. Then we collect the sample here, again we run it, and like 4 times we run this sample and on the same, and then we analyze it. I think it's not working. Okay, this is trickling filter technology. Like you can see a vessel here. This is the outlet of the vessel. Like, this is a suction pump there. It's like we put the sample here in this container, and then through the suction pump we add the sample from here. It's trickled down like a shower. It's like a shower. It's trickled down here, and here in the vessel inside there are stones which are covered with the biofilm of bacteria. Like how we did it, we actually grown the bacteria on media, and then we added the media containing bacterial strains on these stones, and for 1 month we ran the tap water, and then the biofilms developed, and then we added our sample. Like the underlying processes in trickling filter technology are physical removal, as you can see, and oxidation via aeration. Like the sample is trickling down and showering from the upside, so aeration is there and it's oxidizing actually the reduced compounds. And then bacterial remediation, like in this one, now these are the results. Like it's significant reduction is there. For example, for trickling filter samples, first the ciprofloxacin concentration was 75 mg per L per liter, and then after 1 week it was reduced from 75 milligrams to 7 milligram. Actually, it's quite significant, I think. and then in the second week it was 6, and then in the fourth week 6, 10, then in the fourth week 10, and then 9, then 11, then 16, and then come 16, 25, and then 27. Now you can see here it's increased there. It's because the trickling filter technology, it's mainly dependent on the outside environment. Like in the first 2 to 3, then the first 2 to 3 weeks, the environment, like the weather was hot, so the bacteria was quite active. But in these days, like we would add sample every week. So in these weeks, the bacteria are quite dormant because the temperature. Yesterday I was checking in Pakistan, the temperature was 12. So it's quite cold there, and the bacteria is quite like we can say dormant, in dormant stage. And that's why these are increased value here. Now for the wetland samples, we can see from 75 in the first sample, untreated sample, it came to 2 on the 7th one. So it was quite hard in this week, and we can see here like so many reduction is there of ciprofloxacin, and then like from 86 in the second sample, it also came to 2.8 milligram per liter. Now this is the chemical oxygen demand reduction via wetland. In the first week it was 61. Like chemical oxygen demand, it's not only includes ciprofloxacin, it also includes nitrogen, sulfates, and other contaminants. So it's a whole value, like, so it's 61% it was reduced, and the most significant one here is 85.50. It's the highest in the wetland. For the third week it was quite hard that week. And then chemical oxygen demand reduction in wetland, it was 95.24% reduction in the 9th week here. So there are some like key takeaways or summary. Pharmaceutical contaminants pose health risk to all living forms, is like we mentioned about the antimicrobial resistance. And then, but here I compared the two technologies, and I found that wetland technology is efficient, it's affordable, easy to handle, and eco-friendly because it don't need any technical assistance. No need of electricity, no need of anything. It's quite eco-friendly. And then trickling filter, it actually includes the like we can say the suction pump, so it needs electricity and technical needs, and it's reliable and simple, but the technical needs actually overweigh its efficiency. So we have collaborated with the industry in the Pakistan, so we will be proposing the wetland technology to them because they cannot operate trickling filter system there. And its cost-effective wastewater technologies, I think, must be installed at every outlet, like in industries, household, and healthcare, because it's very cheap. And then there are two, like the senior, these are my recommendations, like the senior and young scientists experienced in health security, and leaders from the diplomacy must work in collaboration on developing strategies for the wastewater, because water is something very basic to our life, and we are wholly and solely dependent on water. Water is life for us. So, and youth must be the part of the working groups on local, national, international levels, because I thank you GYSS, because it's a wonderful platform here to collect together young scientists, and we interacted so well on the GYSS platform. And it was my recommendation in my country as well that because future belongs to youth. So youth must be a part of every working group, like if it is in UN, it is in Singapore, everywhere in the world. So youth must be there. Like if you are taking decisions regarding future, so youth must be a part. Acknowledgements like my supervisor, she is a vice chancellor now, Dr. Safia Ahmed, and then my co-supervisor, Dr. Tahir. He actually got PhD from Washington University, and now he is working in Pakistan. And then some of my fellows in my lab. So thank you guys. It was all about it.
Thank you, Awais Qasim. We invite Prof. Liu to moderate the Q&A.
There. Please. We thank Nasim for the wonderful talk. So now is a Q&A session. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Or maybe just come to speaker, come to microphone directly. Yeah, please, yeah.
And thank you very much, and thanks for the presentations. And I'm home from Australia, from Australian National University. Although I'm doing research on indigenous mathematics, but I used to work in the lab, and I'm also doing wastewater treatment. So I just have maybe two quick questions for you. So the first is that how you design your control group, or do you have a control group? Because it may be the biofilms, or it is maybe the filter function that of the silt, maybe not the wetland function to degrade the matter or the chemicals. So it is my first question. And the second question is that because and is this chemicals be extracted by the plants, or is this chemicals has been degraded, or do you have like any that further experiments like to test the concentration of the or on composition actually of the chemicals? Thank you.
Okay, I'll hand it to you. So the first question is, how do you do the control experiment?
The control experiments, actually we first, for the 3 months, we run the tap water and the wetland, and we analyze their values as well. Like tap water is clean water. Then it was actually our control group. Like we compared then we ran the industrial sample, and we compared both the results, and we found out that there are a lot of chemical oxygen demand. Like the previous sample I used, it has above 8,000 chemical oxygen demand, and in comparison to the tap water, it has, I think, 300. So we compared it. And the second question, you asked about the composition changes. So we are going for the soil analysis from the plant tissue analysis, like how they have taken all the things and where they aggregated in the plants. So we will be going for it, but it's in progress research. So for the composition.
Thank you for the question. Okay, this gentleman, please. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Leo. Thank you very much for your talk. It was really interesting and also very interesting topic. I was interested in if you can scale up your wetland technology system, how do you see it to be most efficiently deployed in order to filter out pharmaceutical waste? Thank you.
Okay. So actually, it was a project of the Washington University. We installed a large-scale wetland as well in our university, because there were some issues of wastewater. They were coming from the university, and you know that labs of biology and chemistry, it contains a lot of waste chemicals. So the government actually directed us to clean your water. Then we sat there and we thought that we have a plan, we have a technology of wetland. Then we installed a large-scale wetland in our university at Quaid-i-Azam University, Pakistan. We have a wetland here. And now it was actually for the purpose of treating household water. And now we are changing that technology, and we are using that technology. We want to check if it is efficient to treat the pharmaceutical water or not. So we will be changing it a bit. Like it's now working very well on the household water.
Cool, thank you very much.
Yeah, please.
Hi, my name is Carol Zetungwenya. I'm from the University of Cape Town in South Africa. First of all, thank you for your presentation. It was really lovely, and well done on the COD removal. It's quite impressive values that you've reported. I have a few questions that I would like you to clarify. First question will be on your multi-species biofilm development. Can you please explain more on that, on how you selected the microorganisms, or how you selected your community based on the waste or based on the components that you're trying to remove from the waste? Your multi-species development.
Okay, multi-species biofilm, yeah. Multi-species biofilm, like we ran, as I told you, that we developed the culture first. So how we developed the culture? It was not selective. It was not selective because you cannot go for a selective biofilm in environmental microbiology, because if you are going to the environment, all the things will be mixed. There will be a blend of bacteria. You will be addressing it. So we isolated some of the bacteria, but it was a mixed culture and the nutrient broth, and then we put it on the stones in the trickling filter, and for a month we ran water, and then it developed biofilm. Now I have isolated like 5 strains of bacteria from those biofilms, and now we have sent it. But mostly on biochemical characteristic, there seems that there are bacillus species there, and because bacillus are inherently resistant to antibiotics, so bacillus species are there and staphylococcal species is there.
My question is, where did you sample?
From the industrial effluents.
From the industrial effluent.
Yeah.
Thank you. My second question will be on your loading rates, your COD loading rate. Does your biofilm have a specific tolerance, or did you do any initial loading rate studies on your COD tolerance?
No, like when we took the sample from the industry, we directly measured the COD of that sample, because we didn't know how much it was. Like then we measured it, and it was about 8,000, and then like it was not a synthetic sample, it was an organic sample from the industry outlet, and then we measured it, so we came to know that it was about 8,000.
Is the COD value of the COD of your industrial waste the same at each sampling time? And do you load the same COD at every start of the treatment?
Yes.
So your microorganisms are adapted at that starting loading rate?
Yes, we can say that.
Okay, that's impressive. Second, whatever number question. My other question is, you mentioned that you add a fresh culture every week, or is it the fresh
No, it was not a fresh culture, but a fresh sample. Like we took a lot of sample, like 30 to 40 liters of sample from the industry, and then we were changing the sample every week.
Changing what?
Changing the sample, like we ran the sample for 4 cycles per week, and then we collected the sample after treatment of 1 week, and then we added another sample from the same tank, but another sample. Just like in wetland technology, you are going to run the sample for 12 weeks, because during the treatment, the biofilms are going to develop.
Okay. All right.
So you will be like measuring step by step for 12 weeks. But 12 weeks, I think it's ripened there. Then we can have a fruit.
Last question. So you're operating at ambient temperatures. You don't control your temperature at all.
Yes, because it's outside from the lab.
Yes, your rates are quite impressive for ambient temperature, but then you notice that at seasonal changes, when it was getting cold, your microbial activity was quite low. And for industrial applications, do you think that's something industry will have to consider and implement a heating system? And what will that do to the cost? Because you're very confident with reducing cost, but applying a heating system might shoot up your cost as well. So is that something industry will easily accept, and also considering the area of your industry, because it could be at some very cold areas?
Yeah, I got your question. It's a very interesting question. When I first took the course and the research then, so I thought that it might be the problem for me. But then we discussed it and we proposed a solution. Like every industry, if it's working, a lot of heat is produced in the industry. So we can, like for the bioremediation, it was once used in Pakistan, that we proposed like a duct system. Like the heat from the industry itself, it will be directed in pipes through the wetland. So it will be heating the water. So I think it's also cheap.
All right.
From the same source, heat from the same source, we will be using it for same industry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. Maybe you can bring the technology to Singapore. Here is always hot. Okay, so now let's take the last question due to time constraints. This gentleman, please.
Yeah, so at the end, aren't you growing antibiotic-resistant bacteria?
Like,
I mean, you said that you have bacteria that degrade the antibiotics.
yes.
So I wonder if you are not growing antibiotic resistance in your wetland.
No, actually there are two projects. One is running by my fellow. So she is actually looking for the efficiency of wetland, if either the wetland is efficient to remove the antibiotic resistant genes like ARGs. There's a global pool of antibiotic resistant genes. So she is looking to it, like how much wetland is efficient to remove the antibiotic resistant bacteria in the genes. And I'm looking for the drugs removal. So we are like, we are taking it side by side. Yeah.
Thank you. So in parallel with this on-site meeting, right, we actually, the video is also projected online. So allow me to take one question from the online pool, just to say hello to our online participant, right? So the question is, are you planning to compare the microbiome composition of pharmaceutical companies from different locations, maybe at different time as well?
Actually, we got sample from one industry initially, but now we want to like broaden the horizons of our samples. We will be looking for another sample too, and it's very good to consider it. I'll be considering it.
Very nice. Let's look forward. This wetland technology will change the world. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that, I want to thank the speaker again for the wonderful talk and for answer all our questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Yu and Awais Qasim.